Hi, I'm creating this video to talk about the part of Chapter three's module that includes watching the documentary The Smartest Guys in the Room, and talk about how to go about doing that, and then also talking about some of the things that are follow-up to it. First off, to get at it, you go under Content, and you click on this link here. It says Smartest Guys in the Room. If you click on that, you get to a free it doesn't cost you anything to watch documentary site where it's located. You can look, it's a fairly popular movie. You can find it in other places as well, but just basically watch that. I believe the movie lasts, when it was right there, an hour and a half, or not an hour and a half, an hour and 49 minutes. And I strongly suggest as you're watching it, take some notes of different aspects of it. I think you'll find that'll be beneficial for you. Okay, and watch the movie from the perspective of how did this happen? You know, how did these things come to be at one of the largest corporations in the world? So it's a really interesting story. Kind of hard to watch in some ways, but still an important story to learn from in terms of ethics and ethics lapses. So one thing I do want to caution you about is the movie itself has some language in it, so I hope you're not offended by that. And there is a brief, and I mean very brief and fairly gratuitous filming of nudity, which I don't think is terrible, but again, if you're very sensitive to these things, I'm just letting you know beforehand, so you know you're not disappointed. Okay, so that's that part of it. Now, what do we do after that? So after you've watched the movie, there's two things you can do with this. Excuse me. Or two things to do with this, I should say. One of them is I'm sorry, I'm going back here. Just want to get back to this point. One of them is to take a quiz that will be available as soon as I believe the quiz is available on the March 31st. So that's a Thursday. I believe that's the day. It's basically available for a day. You take it. It's extra credit. It's 10 points. So, you know, you get what you can get from it, and hopefully that'll help. And then the other thing is, it's our first discussion post as it relates to class material. So let me go to that. And when I go under it, gosh, I guess it's a little bit slow opening, but it may not be actually open yet. In fact, it isn't. Sorry, it's I'm making this video before it's actually open. But in that discussion post, I want you to read what we're trying to talk about. Basically, we want to talk about the influence of culture on Enron's and what's happened at Enron, and how things kind of played out and how that culture was formed. So that actually references two chapters in the book, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. We talk about culture in Chapter 2 at the end of Chapter 2, and in Chapter 3 we talk about ethics. So where do these two things come together, and how did that actually come to be? Make a discussion post based on what you see there. It's really important to cite the text. I actually modeled a sample post that should be helpful so you can see the different components that go into it, and then you want to get that done by Sunday, I believe it's April 3rd. Make sure it's done by Sunday evening, April 3rd. And then once those are there, I want you to go to one of your classmates' posts and post a reply, which basically you're either going to say, yeah, I really agree with it. Here, what you're saying, and here's some other things to potentially bolster that idea, things that you noticed. Or you can offer some alternative points of view to what your classmates posted, or you can disagree with it and cite your reasons for disagreeing with it. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute here to talk about discussion room decorum. And this is not, and believe me, it'll be reflected in your grade if you go down this path. It is not your opinion. It's your opinion based on it might be your point of view, but it's based on supporting it with specific things that you noticed in this case, the movie, and then how they relate to specific things you read about in the text or read about in some other content for the class. This is how we go about doing any discussion post from here on out. The good grade is given to people who cite the text and, come up with very specific facts that they observed in this case during the movie, but it could be potentially about something else as well. So that's how you get a good grade. And so if you just say it's like I didn't like it, or that I didn't really understand what they meant, or something along those lines, it shows a lack of comprehending the material, which to me translates to not a very good grade. So please take the time to actually think about your response, your original post, and then your reply to your classmate's post. Those rules hold for throughout the rest of the class in discussion posts, how we go about doing things. All right. So I'll intervene if I have to. I hope I don't have to, but give it some consideration. That's how you get a good grade. If there's any questions about it, absolutely let me know. Good luck.